we just looked at a home that had a really bad moisture issue. And it really all comes down to not having any ventilation in your bathroom. And that's why I'm always excited to install a new vent fan, because it really is one of the most important aspects to your bathroom, is getting all the moist air out of it, because I actually see more problems with having cracked ceilings, peeling paint, mold growing in the corners of your bathroom because of the ventilation issues. You know, I spent a lot of time doing all these types of waterproofing systems, putting waterproofing on the floor, making sure everything is watertight. But drywall and having moist air is probably the bigger problem of all. So getting a good vent fan really is imperative for a bathroom remodel. I'm really excited to get one with a heater, because I think a lot of people love to have this additional item, especially if you're in the northern climates and it's cold. This is definitely a great feature. This is actually something that you might be able to opt into versus maybe doing floor heating. Save yourself a little bit of money. Just put one of these in. You're going to be able to get the ventilation you need. And then also, this actually has a light in it that you're going to be able to change different flavors. So it's LED. It's going to last a long time. But you can change the, not color, but you can change the, what do you want to call it? The temperature of it. So that you can make it match the rest of your home. A lot of people don't like the very bluish, like really LED look, so you can dim that as well. But let me go through some of the process. There is a couple of different things about a heater vent fan that you need to be aware of before you get into this, and a lot of that comes around the electrical. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's open this up. So again, check out my other videos on these other vent fans. I am definitely getting a collection of videos on vent fans and different scenarios of basically how to get the moist air out of the bathroom, because that's really important. Not only do you want a vent fan in there, but you want to have it going outside of the house. So whether that's through a roof vent, whether that's through a gable end, or a soffit vent at the worst case scenario. If you don't have any other options, a soffit vent would probably be the third best way to go about it. But you really need to get all this moist air out of there. But let's go into this vent fan, and I'm going to show you a couple additional things that you need to make sure you have for this before you install it. A nice cover on here. It's pretty wide. It's definitely a lot bigger of a unit as far as the cover goes, and that's just because of the heater. But this is a nice light. Pretty simple. This is just going to clip right into your system. This is your heater element here. You can see it has a little bit of blower on it. So this is where the exhaust, or basically the electric heat, is going to be coming out of the vent fan. Now, one of the biggest aspects to this is that this is a 1500 watt heater unit. So you have to pay attention to the amperage of wire that you have. So most of you are going to have 15 amp wire coming into your bathroom. So you're really going to want to have something completely dedicated. So 1500 divided by 120 is 12.5 amps of usage. So a 15 amp wire would do that, but really, I highly recommend, and I think most electricians would also agree with me, that you're going to want to use a 20 amp line. So the yellow 12-2 wire, this would be your best bet for making sure that you have the appropriate amount of amperage for this usage. You're basically just right at the level that most people are going to, or most electricians are going to want to be at. So a 15 amp line times 120 volts is 1800 watts. This heater is going to use 1500 watts alone. If you had the vent fan and the light on at the same time, you're going to be using a little bit more than that. Now, I've always been told the best rule for any amperage on any wire is to go 80% of that. And that is 1440 watts on a 15 amp line, which is 1800 watts that you can get on a 15 amp line. So that's why I'm recommending moving up to the next size, which is the 12-3, the 20 amp wire. So we're going to be using 12-3 to go from the switch to the fan, and that's going to control the light and the fan. And then we'll be also connecting a two-way wire up for the actual fan. So we'll get into more details on actually running it, but all I'm saying is that you're going to want a 20 amp line. You're going to want to make this dedicated. So if you don't have a dedicated power source to your bathroom that you can go off of, then you're going to have to run a whole new wire down to your electrical panel to be able to make sure that this is safe. You really don't want to just add this onto your existing circuits in your bathroom, especially in an older home. A lot of this stuff can be basically connected to all types of other things. It can be connected to your bedroom, it can be connected to other bathrooms. So when you have a heater of any sort, any type of heat source, you want to have a dedicated circuit to that. All right, so really there's not much to this as far as installation goes for the most part. So we just have our little duct adapter that goes to 4-inch. There we go. Okay, and then got these little brackets. Simply slides into your connection point. So this should get you almost 24 inches on center, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so that's like 24 right there. So you're gonna have plenty of ability to move this. Okay, so when these basically screw into your joists, this is gonna be a 1/2 inch below the joist. So you'll be able to cut your drywall around the opening of this. So this is already designed for 1/2 inch ceiling material. Since we have it down here, we might as well just go ahead and prep our line here for our wires. So we're gonna have 2 lines coming in here. We're gonna have a 12-3 and a 12-2 wire using one of these Romex connectors. So these are kind of nice, they're just push in. So you can prep that. And we'll take our lines out. And I like to use these Wago levers for this. Okay, so we got the red is going to be for our heater. These Wago clips are really awesome. They just make it so much easier to connect everything. So you just slide this in, clip the lever down, pull on it, make sure it's connected, but you just want to make sure you can actually see the wire coming into the back of it. So make sure you're tugging on these, make sure that they're completely clamped. So that's all you got. So you got 1 lead for your heated wire, for your heater. So you're gonna basically have your dedicated neutral connected to it, and then your hot lead from your switch. And then this guy is your neutral for the light. This is gonna be your fan, and this is gonna be your light. So pretty simple. We'll just stick this in here for now. We'll connect that once we get it into place. All right, so be sure to check out my previous video on the electrical setup that we did in here. This one we're gonna be changing out because we're not gonna have any LED cabinetry lighting. We're not gonna have any LED niche lighting. So we're gonna reconfigure all of this. And plus this is all 15 amp wire. So we wanna change what we're connecting to the fan. So previously I ran a 14-3 wire for the vent fan, which allowed me to have the light and the fan separate, but this is too small of a wire now, so we're going to remove that. So let's go ahead and reconfigure what we're going to do here, and I'll help to explain how we're changing this. This is our light for our shower. All right, so we're gonna keep this the vanity light.
No, I'm pretty sure we're doing side sconces.
What do you mean? That's not what you showed in your design board.
Which design board?
The one for this.
I had an overhead.
You had a round mirror and you had the above. Doesn't really matter, but.
No, I had side sconces.
Well, whatever, it's vanity light. So we got our vanity light. We don't have any LED light anymore. All right, so we're gonna get rid of this 3-gang box. All right, so what we're planning on doing here is we're gonna have a 3-switch box for the vent heater light. So you're gonna have your heater, you're gonna have your light, and then you're gonna have your fan. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the double toggle rocker. So a double toggle rocker will do the light here and then a light above the vanity. So we're gonna have 5 switches, but we're just gonna have it in a 2-gang box because of the way these are designed. So all you're gonna see is like 2 switches. So it's gonna look like a lot of switches, but it's gonna be pretty condensed. Now I do highly recommend these type of boxes. I love these. This is made by Allied Products. And what's awesome is that these are adjustable. So you can move the box in and out of the wall. So if you ever have any type of tile surface, say if you were doing a tiled wainscoting, these are perfect for that. A kitchen backsplash, or anything that you just want to have adjustability to move your box in and out. There's nothing worse than having a box that comes too far out of the wall and you can't actually put the trim kit on it correctly. So these are really nice. It's a really well-made box. It's fiberglass. It has the deeper aspect for it, which we're gonna need for all of these wires. So check out the Allied products. They also have them in single gang boxes. Again, if you're doing a backsplash, these things are amazing because you just never know what your actual tile thickness is gonna be in a lot of ways. And this just allows you to have so much more flexibility. Between 50 and 52 inches is like a normal size. These also have these little legs in here that kind of hold them right into place, which is kind of nice. Allows you to anchor this nicely for a temporary install. You can see here, this is where you're able to move the box out. You're able to move the box in. This also has a nice wire clamp. So if you had a dryer connection point here, it already has this already set out to be able to run some bigger wires in. But yeah, pretty awesome. Makes it really easy. So let's go ahead and put our wires in the box. That's our vanity light. Okay, so we got our temporary light back on. So this is just gonna stay on this side of the box. So we got all our 15 amp lines here. This will connect our vanity, our shower light, and we got our power supply for the bathroom there. Now we'll go ahead and run our 12-2 for the power supply on this side. We did have some heated flooring in here at some point, so this is a dedicated 20 amp line. Be sure to check out the video on connecting a new line into your service panel for the electric floor heat, but you know, it's the same process of installing it. So we're going to use this circuit for our power supply for our heater light fan. Now the only thing when you go to junction anything, you just want to make sure you have access to the junction point. So since we have, this is like an attic space, we do have access to the back of this. But really the best idea is just to run a dedicated circuit all the way there straight to the light switch box there, so that you can have a complete circuit there. But if you have to junction it, just make sure you have access to it. And these Wago clips make it so easy to make a nice connection point. Just make sure that you tug on them, make sure that the wires aren't sticking down below. So now you know that that's the junction for that.
What's that say?
Heater fan. Heat fan.
Can't even read it.
Okay, so now we're going to run 2 wires up to our fan light. So the first one is going to be a 3-2 wire. It's a 20 amp 3 wire. You got your ground, and then so this is going to allow us to be able to connect to our light fixture and our fan at the same time and be 12-2. That's one thing that when you're using a 20 amp line, you want to make all the connections 20 amp. You don't want to bring a 20 amp up here, connect to your switch, and then run 15 amps lines to your fixture. You want to have if you're going to go with one size, do it all the same size. Same as if, like, so we have a 15 amp line here. This is completely separated for the vanity light and the shower light. The heater fan is completely separate on a 20 amp. So we have 2 different power supplies going here. So we're going to just run this up just like we did the other vent fan. And this is going to go for the light and the fan itself. Okay. And then we're going to run a secondary line. This is going to be for the heater itself. Okay, so that wraps up of all our wires. And we're just going to keep this in the box for now because we want to do all our drywall and cut around this box. All right, so that takes care of the rough in on the wiring. So that's just the only biggest thing about having a heater fan, is just that it requires a bigger gauge wire, or you should have a bigger gauge wire. So it's a little bit, you know, it's like the time to do it is when you have everything opened up and you're during that remodel stage. Trying to do this later on, you're just gonna have to fish another line, and most likely you're gonna have to change all of the wiring that you have to your existing fan to be able to do this. So now we're gonna do the easy part. We're just gonna actually install the vent fan. That'll be a nice, quick, easy thing to install. This being new construction really makes this easy because obviously you have all the joist out. So we're just gonna center this within the bathroom space here. Now the location, it really kind of is up to you. We have 8-foot ceilings here. I'm actually gonna, because it has the heater, we're gonna kind of keep it outside of the shower a little bit because I think it's gonna warm up the room a little bit better. So if we have 3 foot, this joist is about 50 inches. So we're gonna go right against that. Got these little nailing flanges, makes it easy to fasten. So these little screws here go right into the side. There we go. Okay, and then now you can see that this is a 1/2 inch down. So that drywall will butt right up against here and I'll be able to cut it out. But this is gonna work out great because the heater's on this side. It's gonna be right above, you know, the outside of your shower. It's gonna make it nice and warm when you walk out. Now, we do have a duct vent. We're gonna connect that here in a minute. Let's go ahead and put our wires together here. You got our 3-way wire, got the neutral, got the fan, got the light, and then our heater connection, which is just a 12-2. We got our neutral, and we got our power supply to our heater. So that's all there is to it. And we can just tuck this into our box. Now again, the venting duct needs to go to the outside, so check out my other videos on how we went through this actual metal roof. But you can also go through a gable end, and you can do a soffit vent. The other thing you want to pay attention to, in this particular situation, I have spray foam up against the ceiling, so the attic is basically a conditioned space. So I just have the regular corrugated, but if you had insulation, like normally at this level, you're going to want to make sure this is an insulated duct to prevent any sweating of the line. So when you have hot and cold environments, things like the sweat and change, and if you have it in a space that's not conditioned, it can definitely kind of sweat and cause some moisture issues. So I got a little clamp on my vent, a little worm drive clamp that helps connect that. That's really all there is to it. So the rough in is in. We'll go ahead and drywall, and then once we're finished, we'll connect the switch for this. But this is one awesome additional feature for your bathroom. Having an additional heat source is going to make the whole family pretty happy about the situation. So this is truly my favorite tool for drywall. Well, that wasn't nicely done at all. Damn it. I can't leave it like that. I gotta do that again. I'm not happy about that. I'm gonna take my time a little bit better and really mark that out, but we'll show you how to repair this. This is no big deal. You know, drywall is very forgiving. So even though I completely screwed up this cut and then kind of overcut over this way, we can fix that. There we go. All mistakes can be forgiven with drywall mud. All right, so the cover, very easy. This actually just pops out. As you can see, these are all LED lights. So you won't have to ever really change this, but what it has is a little mechanism. And I actually do like these covers better than the spring-loaded type. mainly because it's just a little bit easier to get the cover in place. So this guy just threads. What you want to do is plug in the LED. And that makes a really nice, secure connection to the ceiling. You just pop it in and good to go. So I definitely like the way that connects there much better.
Can you turn it on?
Not yet. Okay, so for the connection point, we got all our 12 2-wire that feeds the fan. So this is our lighting for our vanity shower light. So this section is just for the switches for the vanity and shower light. And
What
then
section?
this section.
Okay.
All these are that, all these are for my fan. All the neutrals are going to be put together here. These are Wago clips here. You just want to make sure you cut this down enough that you don't see the wire hanging out of the back. Let's just make sure there's no bare wire there and everything's connected. Connect all of our grounds. Got a pigtail for that. All right, so then we'll just take our neutrals and our ground, tuck it in the back of the box. Okay, so that's our power supply. So with our power supply, I'm going to put that on the black screw here. All right, so this is our heater. Now you can really put these on any switch that you want. It really doesn't matter. So whatever you want to make your heater, you can do, because the power supply is feeding all of this. So whatever your configuration you can do. We're just going to put it on the bottom one in this scenario. So this will be the heater. Or that's the fan. All right, so let's make the fan the center. Or is that the?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the heater. That's the heater. Yeah, that's the heater. It sounds like a fan, but it's a heater. I can't remember what I did on this, but maybe this is the light. Yep, it's the light. So let's just make that the top. We'll make the fan the middle. Okay, and this is the fan. One important note with this 12 2-wire, always face the hook going with the screw, so that when you tighten the screw, it'll tighten with the screw. So it tightens the wire onto the screw. If you had it the reverse way, once you try to tighten it, it will actually take the screw off there. So make sure all of your hooks are going with the direction of your tightening. And then we got ground. we got our shower light, we got our fan, and then we got our heater at the top. So, oh yeah, that's pretty nice.
Feel it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
That'll be nice to walk outside of the shower and feel that warm air. So,
It's like a hairdryer.
yeah. That's really gonna be a nice.
In the freezing winter?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So we have that on the top and that fan and then the light. Very cool. Oh yeah.
Oh, better, yay.
I don't know if that's gonna be better for our lighting. So wait, this has,
But it's warmer, yeah. We'll
Yeah.
Go through all the, ooh.
so you got three different selections.
So that's super cool. Warm, warmer.
Let's just go in the middle for what we're doing.
Oh, I like the warmer.
Yeah, that's a little bit less blaring.
I'm blind.
All right, so this vent fan is definitely going to be nice. So we got our light here, we got our vent fan there, and then our heater, which is really awesome. Man, you're definitely going to love that. Yeah, I could already feel the
I
heat.
can
in
feel
here.
it too.
Yeah, it's really nice. What an awesome extra feature. So thanks, Broan. That is definitely a great accessory to the shower. Not only am I getting the real ventilation that's really important to get out of the room, but you're able to get an additional heat source for the winter.